respective areas at the university to share with you today. I do just want to say welcome to those who are in person, who are on the live stream, and give a special shout out to the the campus community collaboration members who are here with us. And so we appreciate you attending and joining us today. So before I go into any further introduction of what we'll be doing today, I want to take a moment for us to meet the panelists. So I'm going to put a slide up here of our panelists. We did have one that was unable to make it, Dr. Rick Edgman, so he is not obviously here in person with us today. So we'll go ahead and just start here and go down the row, and they can introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Luciana Mendoza. I am a junior here at FHSU University. I am an international student. I'm from Paraguay. My major is international business and economics. I work at the Office of Global Affairs. I'm also a global ambassador and a student. So, welcome everyone.
Hello everyone, I'm Todd Moore and I'm the chair of the Geosciences Department and of the Sustainability Task Force.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Jenny McCrae and I'm an assistant provost of internationalization and strategic initiatives.
Hello, I'm so happy to be joining everybody here today, so thank you for coming. My name is Donette Noble. I am a faculty member in the Leadership Studies Department, and I also serve as the Director of Civic Learning and Engagement at Fort Hays.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Brittany Squire and I am an outreach specialist for Forsyth Library as well as an adjunct instructor for the Department of Leadership Studies. I also chair our campus community collaborative, which I think we'll have an opportunity to talk about pretty soon, and care very deeply about service to our community. So thanks for being here for our conversation.
Hi everyone, it's good to be with you today. My name is Ryan Stanley. I am Student Body and Student Government President, and I'm a second semester MBA student.
All right, so let's just give a round of applause to our panelists. Thanking them for their time and just coming to share. So as we were preparing for the panel today, I really did want our panelists and myself just to share from a point of passion about why we do what we do, and the excitement that we have to be a part of developing engaged global citizen leaders. So for the past 120 years, Fort Hays State University has been exploring new opportunities in the frontier of education, and we've experienced many successes, but I think as everyone's fully aware, education is in a unique spot now, and we have to collaborate more. We have to find new partnerships and new pathways to move forward. And so as we talk today, we want to challenge you to think global, and how you can act local. Think global, act local. I'll get it right eventually through the day. So we want to center our entire conversation around the mission of Fort Hays. And as we read this mission, I do want you to ask yourself as an individual, whether you're a student, a staff, a faculty member, an administrator, a community member, one of our international partners watching online, we all need to take into consideration how are we developing as engaged global citizen leaders. This isn't just a quest of students, this is a quest of us all in order to move forward in a way that education can transform and chart a new course. So the Fort Hays mission statement, as shown on this slide, is to provide accessible quality education to Kansas, the nation, and the world through an innovative community of teachers, scholars, and professionals to develop engaged global citizen leaders. About a year ago, our office was reorganized and charged with a new way of thinking, to be honest, under the direction of our provost, Dr. Jill Armstrong. We had in the past been very centered on partnership management, international partnership management, which is still a huge component of what global affairs does, and it's an incredible piece of our university's history and also our future. But our challenge was to begin thinking bigger and more broad around how do we bring global learning opportunities to everyone that intersects with Fort Hays. It's not just about partnerships, it's about how am I also developing as a globally engaged citizen leader. And so as we begin to take this new lens, we've also taken this mission and we weave it into everything that we do in our department. And likewise, you'll hear more from Dr. Noble in a little while about how civic learning engagement is doing the same thing. We want to see our mission in action. We don't just want words on a website or words on a screen. We want to see how, as whatever stakeholder you are at the university, how are you bringing this to action? And maybe you're sitting there thinking, I don't know, this is lofty, this is too maybe theoretical, but that's where we start. We have to be aware of what the mission is in order to begin living it out. And as you listen to these panelists today, who are going to bring you multiple initiatives and unique opportunities that they're offering right here at Fort Hays and all around the world, I hope you'll take a moment to think, where can I connect? Where can I take action? And where can I start transforming the future of education? So that's really what we're here to do today. What is Fort Hays doing as we're looking at this new landscape? And how can you, who are listening and engaging with us today, take action in that way? To start the discussion with our panelists, we're going to begin by just asking our two students who are on our panel, what does it mean to them to be an engaged global citizen? And how does that look for them personally? And so I'm going to start here with Luciana from Paraguay to share what that means to her.
So there's like a definition for this term, and it talks about like speaking multiple languages, having study abroad opportunities, getting involved with the community, like international students and all that. But I think to me it's more than that. To me, the word that comes to my mind is expansion. I would say that it's expanding your thoughts, your mindset, your perspective on, and your empathy as well on how other people live, how other cultures think, and really putting yourself in the shoes of these people from other cultures, other backgrounds, and starting to think what they might be thinking. How can I do something to help them, to benefit them, or just to give them more opportunities? I think that is really, to me, I mean, it's important to like speak languages and seek opportunities abroad and all that, but I think it's more on the mindset that you have about these activities than actually doing them. Because let's be honest, not everyone can like go abroad and do all these things, but you have opportunities here as well. And I think that for me is what being a global citizen means. It means doing what you can do for other countries, even though that you don't have the citizenship of that country, and simply because we are global citizens, just a citizen of the world. And I would say that being a student here at Fort Hays, it's like huge to me, coming from a different country and seeing that this university cares so much about that, and really encourages all the students and faculty to have that mindset. So I really feel like I have like a team of people working towards the same objective.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was really good. I think Lou hit most of it, but I guess my answer would be that, and she kind of already touched on this, that it's just like an awareness that the world is so much bigger than your circle and what you know, and primarily I think it's the humility to step out of your circle and kind of just learn about what you don't know. I think curiosity is what comes to mind, especially for me, and just really engaging in the things outside of your circle. So that can be local, state level, national, internationally. But yeah, just carrying that curiosity, and also the word empathy too. Carrying the curiosity and empathy with you as you kind of engage in those out of what you know. So.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Luciana. So I love the representation we have on our panel today. So Luciana, she is from Paraguay. And if you're not aware, Paraguay is a sister state with the state of Kansas. So we have a very unique arrangement and a civic engagement component with that global engagement piece as well. And then we also have Ryan, who's the student government president, and a Kansas kid. He grew up in Kansas, like me. And so we have great representation with people bringing those different perspectives. And I also just want to highlight the international student experience that they have here at Fort Hays. I oftentimes think our international students here are some of the most engaged global citizen leaders. They're the ones that have stepped out of their home country comfort and challenged themselves to study abroad. And so I just want to recognize our international students for being those leaders, in my opinion, who who really are living out that globally engaged citizen. Okay, we're going to go ahead and break down this a little bit more. So one of the cautions when we're talking missions and values, and this is a common question, is, well, what does it mean for me? Like, I don't drive the mission and values of Fort Hays, so what does that mean for me? And so we've broken this into a Venn diagram to show how the leadership development, global learning, and civic engagement are the three pillars that really have to be present for us at Fort Hays to fulfill the mission that we've set out before us. And so we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what does this mean and how can it apply to me. And so I'm going to start with Brittany Squire talking a little bit about what are some specific ways at Fort Hays that we're fulfilling our mission. How is this mission in action here? So I'll pass it to Brittany.
Yes, thank you, Haley. So I wanted to start by just letting you all know, if you're not aware, that the university has 5 strategic goals, and one of those goals is centered around community and global engagement. So that makes a statement that is one of our 5 goals. That goal is really to cultivate impactful partnerships internally, locally, nationally, and globally. So that's the kind of things that we're interested in doing to fulfill that goal. A couple of the key objectives that we work on with that is to align projects and opportunities in order to create some innovative kinds of partnerships that enhance our economic prosperity. So some of you may be aware of the Tech Incubator. There's been some news about that recently that will be housed under our Department of Informatics, and that's a really great example of how we are supporting opportunities for our students to be involved through micro internships in our community, and it's also providing a service and an opportunity for local entrepreneurs to maybe see forward and see through some different projects that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Another key part of that strategic goal is to improve, expand, and the key word is institutionalize our civic engagement activities and projects, focusing on curricular, co-curricular, and other kinds of activities that involve our community. So some of the distinct initiatives that we have that are really meeting this objective, one of them is through our experiential learning innovation grants, and these happen each semester. They are offered to our faculty at FHSU as a way to encourage them to provide hands-on learning and community engagement opportunities within their curriculum. So we're very excited that this past year we had a record number of 12 faculty members that were awarded grants to be incorporating those kinds of activities in their classes. So that's one step in terms of meeting that strategic goal. Another initiative that we are, I think, very fortunate to have on this campus is the American Democracy Project. We have got Dr. Larry Gould here with us today, who's the faculty advisor for that student-led organization, and so he may have comments on that later. But they really are a partner to this campus because they provide a number of activities for students to engage in the political landscape and to really be engaged and involved in that arena. We do have some really unique certificate programs as well that I want to mention that are really geared towards this. So the Art and Design Department offers a Community Engaged Art Certificate, which allows participants to have direct and authentic community art experiences. We do have a Global Studies Certificate that is offered with our Department of History, and that provides students with interdisciplinary exposure to lots of issues that are affecting our communities and our world. And then we are also excited, you'll be seeing a little bit more information about this to come, but we'll be launching a Global Scholar Program that really tries to bring together the co-curricular, the curricular, the global, the leadership, and the community engagement components. And then the final initiative, and I'll stop talking for a moment, is the Campus Community Collaborative, which is in our 3rd year. We're beginning our 3rd year in existence, so it's still fairly new. David Klingen representing the Campus Community Collaborative today. It's a 10-member group that is weighted towards community representation, really with dedicated individuals representing lots of industries and areas in our community and on our campus, dedicated to create and cultivate create stronger partnerships between the campus and the community. So I can talk more about projects we're working on a little bit later, but I think those are a few very distinct ways that we are fulfilling our mission.
So thank you, Brittany, for sharing those civic engagement opportunities. And we have some of our faculty who are cross-border faculty in our partnerships at CIAS and SNU. And I just want to note that the grants that Brittany is talking about, they are an option even for those who teach outside of the home campus. And so it's just something to keep in mind. There are multiple opportunities to be civically engaged at Fort Hays. And if you aren't finding them, then Donnette will share a few more. Go ahead, Donnette.
Okay, great. With my role as Director of Civic Learning and Engagement, I have quite a few projects that I'm working on. A couple of them that I want to talk to you about today is our pursuit of the Carnegie Foundation's elective classifications. And there are 2 elective classifications. And for those of you who might not be aware, the Carnegie Foundation was established in 1904. So it's been around for a very long time. And this particular entity does the classifications for institutions of higher education based on the types of degree programs they offer, etc. But they have these 2 elective classifications that universities can pursue. One of them is the community engaged classification, and we are very diligent about the types of activities that we engage in on campus that support our mission to develop global engaged citizen leaders. And so we are, as Brittany was just talking about, we're constantly facilitating new partnerships and looking in the communities where we serve to find out who can we work with to offer programs to our students, to solve community issues, to bring people together, to facilitate positive change and really strengthen communities in a variety of ways. So that particular classification, there are 240 institutions currently holding that classification, and we'll be applying for that in the next couple of years. But really highlighting all of the ways in which we are working together and leveraging campus resources and expertise to strengthen communities. Really meeting the people in those communities where they are to serve their purpose. The other classification that we are pursuing right now is in its inaugural application cycle, and this is the classification Leadership for Public Purpose. And I'm really excited to share with all of you today that Fort Hays State University is one of 9 founding institutions for this particular classification. And we recognize that leadership, I mean, my department chair, Brett Whitaker, is here, and our colleague in the Department of Leadership Studies, and so we're teaching leadership. We're showing students, how to really harness their gifts, to do good in communities and to do good in organizations. So we're teaching leadership in a very structured, formal fashion to students. But leadership occurs across our campuses in many different ways, online, in person, where people are really working intentionally and collaboratively to do good in the world, to make a difference, to lift people up, to solve hard problems. And so working through both of these application cycles, it also gives us an opportunity to do a really robust and rigorous self-study of our university and to always be sure that all of our operations are very intentionally aligned and meeting our mission.
Thank you, Donnette.
Certainly.
Very well said, and it's always helpful to have those classifications kind of defined. So if you hear terminologies or you hear initiatives that maybe are new to you, I just want to encourage you to Google them or look them up on the Fort Hays website and learn more. As Ryan said, be curious about the things that we're talking about today. So as we talk a little bit about global learning, I want to just share a little about myself. And so in 2005, I came to Fort Hays State University from a very rural community in south central Kansas. I had my first neighbor when I moved into McVitus Hall, and so I experienced a level of culture shock when I came to Fort Hays. I never had a stoplight in my town, and so there was definitely an element of adjusting. And at that time, I wouldn't have been able to articulate to you that Fort Hays internationalized me, but where I am today, I can confidently say that happened. to really reimagine how intentional we were with those internationalization efforts. And that's where Dr. Jenny McCrae really came on the scene and has just began to really vision cast and drive a new future for internationalization at Fort Hays. So I'm going to turn it over to her to touch on that and kind of summarize these three pillars that we've been talking about with civic engagement, global learning, and also internationalization.
Well, I have to follow all of that. It's been quite an honor to restructure and to really be thinking about how, as an institution, can we make sure that everyone is connected in some way, shape, or form to developing engaged global citizen leaders. And so I feel very proud today, having all of these people talk about these various things. I think that it really is the true north of what we do. I think that, like Haley said earlier, it's really not just words, but we're really looking at best practices. We're looking at frameworks to be able to really help guide the way that we do this. And in terms of internationalization, we have 6 target areas for what we call comprehensive internationalization. One of those is international partnerships, like you spoke about. Like I think most people know that Fort Hays has had long-standing international partnership unique programs, but that's one aspect or one target area of comprehensive internationalization, and we're really trying to increase both awareness in and participation in a variety of the other areas as well. So we're trying to get really sustained involvement in global learning, develop intercultural competence skills, various options for exchange, both faculty and student exchange, and again, both ways. We want to take Fort Hays to the world and also bring the world to Fort Hays, and we don't see that as a one-way kind of event. We also are making sure that we focus on the institutional commitment that is required to handle all of these things. And so we're trying to work in concert, like this Venn diagram shows. We want to make sure that we're coming together and aligning the 3 areas of leadership development, global engagement, civic and community engagement, and all of those partnerships so that we can create a synergy between these things instead of operating separately. And so that's one of the things that this panel discussion is hopefully sending a message for today, is that we're all working in concert with each other. The way that we do this, and we're really trying to infuse the operationalization of our mission throughout all of the aspects of the university.
Very well said. Thank you, Jenny. So one of the things, and I mentioned this as we were opening, that today we really structured this event because it's a United Nations proclaimed Day of International Education. But one of the other things that we have been doing here at Fort Hays is also looking at the United Nations Sustainability Goals. And I have just a little bit of a funny story about that, also a personal story. I was at a conference and I ended up in the wrong room, and I didn't realize that until they started talking, and the slide said UN SDG, and I was like, I don't even know what that means. So I just Googled it and learned all about it in that session. So it was a whole new concept to me at this conference. And so again, if this is something new to you, be curious about this topic. Basically, in a very quick summary, it's 17 interlocking goals that have 5 overreaching themes. And those 5 themes are people, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnership. And so I again just encourage you to do some exploratory research on what that looks like. But I'm excited to have Dr. Todd Moore with us today. He's the new chair of the Sustainability Task Force here at Fort Hays. And so he's going to share a little bit about what that looks like here, what his vision is, and maybe some upcoming opportunities for engaging with those UN SDGs. So, Todd?
Thank you, Haley. The Sustainability Task Force brings together students, staff, and faculty at Fort Hays State University, and we organize ourselves around the UN SDGs and also the 5 Ps that Haley brought up a minute ago. Moving forward, we are really going to focus on 3 main areas: curriculum, engagement, and institution. For curriculum, we look to sort of revamp what we have already occurring on campus, which is a sustainability certificate that exposes students to multiple dimensions of sustainability across campus. We are looking to update that certificate to broaden it, to align it with the 5 Ps of sustainability, with the goal being to expose students to the many dimensions of sustainability and to empower them with the knowledge and the skills that will be required to join the workforce and address many of the global and local problems we have nowadays related to sustainability and globalization. Engagement. We are looking to work with student organizations to actually get involved in our local community and broader, to contribute to our community, to work toward a more sustainable future here on campus and in the communities we live within. An institution, we are looking to really embed these ideals across campus. One of our upcoming activities is going to be to bring students, staff, and faculty together in what we are calling a 5 rooms project, where each room or area will be one of the 5 Ps of sustainability, and the people involved in each of these areas will be tasked with brainstorming and developing actionable goals that we will work toward over the upcoming year so that Fort Hays can work toward a more sustainable future. And that's forward thinking as well. This will just be the stepping stone. Hopefully we will grow that program, include more rooms. This was an idea actually taken from UN SDGs. They have a 17 rooms project where each individual role is worked toward an actionable item. We're going to start a little bit smaller. We're going to start with 5 areas and grow from there, and hopefully really embed these ideals in Fort Hays culture.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah. So be on the lookout for opportunities to engage with the Sustainability Task Force. And also, again, I just encourage you to challenge yourself to look into that individually and how can you incorporate that into your own lifestyle. It may not be a huge project or initiative at the university level, but when we're talking about global citizens, any little step or change can really help contribute to those. I also want to bring in a student perspective, so we have some co-curricular and curricular opportunities for students to interact with sustainability. And Luciana has had some projects and experiences, and so I've asked her to share some of those with you all.
So I am part of Hanson Hall. That is basically a scholarship hall for entrepreneurs. It's here on campus. I've been there since I came here to college. And that is when I had all these amazing opportunities to create business plans with my peers. And these past, I've been here for 2 years, so there's like competitions, for example, that they are here on campus. And last one was the Epic Challenge. That was a great experience because we were challenged to come up with a business plan, a business idea that would align with the UN SDGs. We could pick like one of multiple UN SDGs and just see how we can work on something that would benefit all these aspects. And it was really cool. I had the opportunity to create a business plan and present that here on campus. And also I had the opportunity to go to Chicago for present this idea in the CEO global competition, pitch competition. And yeah, it was just so many competitions like these. As we entered these type of competitions, we realized that there's these things like all across the country. So we just got more curious about that and started applying to more things with one of my friends. And yeah, that was my experience with that, and I'm learning so much about the UNSCGs. It was also something new for me before I started doing that, and it's really something that I became really passionate about. And yeah, I look forward to keep learning more about that and keep trying to find ways to work towards those goals.
So Luciana is very humble, but I need to brag on her for a minute. Her pitch competition, the one that she was able to go with a peer to Chicago, was selected among...
It was like more than 500 entries,
Yeah.
and then we made top 100 and then top
to bring in more of a maybe clear definition of civic engagement and some specific examples or opportunities people have to do that in the near future.
Okay. So my colleague to the right here, Donette, talked a little bit about how we talk about civic engagement, but I'm going to give you specifically, we adopt Thomas Ehrlich's civic responsibility in higher education definition of civic engagement, which really means that it's working together to make a difference in your community. It's developing knowledge, skills, and motivation to make a difference, and it's engaging in both political and non-political activities in order to create an improved quality of life in whatever community you're in. So that is our Fort Hays State University definition of civic engagement. Now, I talked earlier about some of the ways that we're living out the mission noted here on the screen, but I think that when we think about civic engagement, that can take many forms, and you can think about it in different layers. So for example, if we think about Fort Hays State University as an institution, that engagement might look like participation, for example, through our Tiger Gear on Friday program, TGOF. And that is an opportunity for us to invite local organizations and businesses to participate by supporting the university by offering discounts to people on certain days for wearing Fort Hays gear, or by supporting us through Spirit. And so that's one way that we have an opportunity to engage with our community. And if there are any of you in the room who would like to be interested in signing up to be a partner, I'd encourage you to do so and visit with me after about that. It can also look like, for example, the institution participating in local parades and being visible and present in the community in those beloved kinds of activities. It can look like engagement with our community members, and particularly community members who are alumni, who participate in homecoming activities, which are open to the public and available to a wide audience. So those are ways that Fort Hays is engaged as an institution. We also have ways that we can think about it with our faculty and staff and their involvement on local boards and their service here in the community. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our faculty who are introducing experiential learning and community engagement opportunities into the classroom and incorporating that in their curriculum. And then, of course, when we think about developing engaged global citizen leaders, we're also talking about our students who are having direct involvement in the community, and they are exposed to maybe different industries and different professionals, and they have jobs and internships and service learning opportunities through their classwork. And so those, I think, are some of the different layers that we might think of when we think of civic engagement. When we think about something like the impact that we're having on our local community, of course, we can think about economic impact. So the FHSU Docking Institute does a regular report. You may have noticed their recent one, I think it's been 2 years ago now, that really identified what is the economic impact of FHSU on our community. So that's one way that we can think about that. We also have some other distinct projects and activities that translate to some deeper connections, right? So we've got faculty doing all kinds of different projects in the community involving their students, involving community partners, and so that's another way that we're directly impacting our local community. But I also think it's really important when we think about this to not just understand how we're impacting the community, but the impact the community has on our institution. And so, for example, Hays, if you don't know, it has a pretty vibrant art community that goes back many, many years. Our local Hays Arts Council is the oldest in the state of Kansas and has a very rich history. Because of their existence and presence in this community, we're fortunate to have things like art walks and exhibit spaces that allow our art and design students to exhibit their work in a way that they might not otherwise have those opportunities. And so that's one example of a way that the community is really supporting our effort to educate our students as well. So upcoming ways that you can get involved, I'll just plug that this Saturday, if you're looking for something to do, we would invite you to join us In celebration of Global Community Engagement Day, we'll be taking a small group from here, from the campus, but it's open to faculty, staff, community members. You can bring your families. We'll be taking a short field trip to the Kansas Wetlands Education Center in Great Bend, Kansas. And we'll have an opportunity to learn about preservation efforts, which really align well with the SDGs. And we'll also have an opportunity to build birdhouses that will then donate to the Kansas Wetlands Center. So that's a real need that they have identified that we'll have an opportunity to support. We'll also have an opportunity this upcoming fall in October. We'll be hosting a conference on campus centered around community engaged teaching, research, and service. And so you'll hear some more information about that a little bit later this year. And I think others may have more to say. So I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brittany. So on the back table, there is a flyer. If you're interested in doing the service learning trip this coming Saturday, you can scan the QR code and RSVP, and that trip is fully basically hosted by Civic Learning Engagement and Global Affairs, so it's no cost to attendees. And we hope that you will consider joining us for that day trip coming up very soon. So we're going to then go to Ryan and again have a student perspective on kind of what does civic engagement mean to you, Ryan, and how has that kind of played out at your time at Fort Hays?
Yeah, so something little that I know when I was coming into Fort Hays as a freshman, just the opportunities that were available for me for civic engagement. Tons of ways. So I've been involved in student government for 5 years now throughout my undergrad and now into my master's as a senator and now on executive staff, which I've really enjoyed. So yeah, there's just a lot of different ways for students, especially across our shared governance groups, to get involved. So I get to work with our faculty senate, our staff senate, with our executive leadership team in a lot of different ways. And students just have quite a unique opportunity at Fort Hays to really interact with our administrators in a different way than some bigger schools might. I think also I've been really privileged to take on the role to represent students at the Kansas Board of Regents in different ways once a month. So and that's been really great, just being the kind of the center point for students to really reach out to our campus. So.
Ryan, I have kind of a sidebar question
Okay.
for you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So when you came to Fort Hays, and you're from, I don't know this.
Bennington, Kansas.
Bennington, Kansas, a small town, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No
So when
stoplights.
you came to Fort Hays, did you know, how did you become aware of the different opportunities you've taken? Did you come here looking for that? Was that something that found you? Kind of explain to us how that worked for you.
Yeah, so I was pretty involved in high school, I would say, class president, so I didn't ever see myself as student body president by any means, but I think it's hard to come to Fort Hays and not know about a lot of opportunities. There's just so many opportunities through just the student announcements, meeting other students, seeing what's going on in the union. So I think a lot of the opportunities came to me, I would say. I was looking for them, but I didn't know. I'll say a few different things that I didn't know. There are tons of leadership opportunities on this campus, whether that be a treasurer, vice president, president role in a student organization. I got to serve as a Robbins College of Business and Entrepreneurship ambassador. That was a really fun leadership role. Or Global Affairs has different student ambassadors. In Res Life, you can be a community advisor. Just tons of opportunities to step into that. So.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Ryan, for taking a kind of off-script question from me. So, but we do want to talk, Ryan, that's a great segue into talking more about leadership development. We've talked a lot about global learning opportunities and civic engagement activities, but let's zoom in a little bit more to what leadership development looks like. So for me, I finished my master's degree in leadership studies, and that for me was a transformational experience from a professional, a personal, and an academic perspective. It really impacted me in so many ways, and the timing of my program was perfect for where I was in my life. And so for me, my actual academic program was a huge piece of leadership development for me. But there are multiple ways that people can develop in their leadership, as Ryan mentioned. And so to start off talking a little bit more in depth about this, I'm going to turn to Dawnette, to share some more specifics around leadership development.
Yes, and I'm going to start by saying what a leader is not. A leader is not just a role or a position. Leadership is an active process, and so to be a leader, you have to be actively engaged with other people, working collaboratively, creatively toward a common purpose or goals. And we have so many opportunities for our students to develop themselves as leaders, and I think one of the most beautiful things about being a member of the faculty or staff at Fort Hays is that we have an opportunity to help students like Luciana and Ryan to tap into their passions and find their purpose, and then we create space for them to really run, hopefully don't walk, but run in those directions, and really embrace what it is that they love and get excited about, what really stirs them. So that is an opportunity that is available to all of us to help students, to tap into that. But other ways we help students develop as leaders is, through our curriculum. I have to get a plug-in for the Leadership Studies Department. But there are a lot of programs that offer components of leadership. It's not just leadership studies. We have Art for Social Change. Brittany was talking about that just a little bit ago. And so many leadership components in the College of Business and in all of our colleges, really. So it's exciting that we can help students through our curriculum, but we also have so many co-curricular activities for students. There are, 120 student organizations on campus? So it's like no matter what a student is excited about, hopefully we can find a place for them to connect with like-minded students, and they can really grow together in those experiences. So we have student organizations, we have learning communities which have been demonstrated to really help students to become connected to the institution. It helps with retention, they get excited, the rates of graduation are higher with students who are really connected to the campus community. So we really want to continue creating spaces for students in those opportunities. But beside that, we also support faculty and staff in creating space for students to engage with community and to involve themselves in high-impact learning practices. That can come in the form of research, it can come in the form of service learning, all kinds of projects that they can go into the community and work on and, network in communities and find opportunities, find mentors in the community through these experiences that they have. So there are really so many ways. And one thing that I would like to say is that there are grants available to faculty and staff to offer these programs in either a curricular or co-curricular program for students. And it used to be that we had innovative experiential learning innovation grants just for faculty so that they could come up with some really interesting mechanisms in their classes to connect with students. But we realized that, what I was talking about just a little bit ago, that leadership goes on all over our campus, and there are people outside of the academic classroom who are doing really amazing things with students. I think there's probably some great opportunity here for sustainability to get students involved in that. But anyway, so we've made monies available for staff members as well, regardless of what unit they're in. And for our international campus partners, to really think about how can they connect and engage with students in meaningful and interesting and beautiful ways that will help the students grow and develop. And I also want to do a shout out to Dr. Gould. He and I collaborate every year to submit a nomination through Campus Compact for one student to represent Fort Hays State University as a Civic Newman Fellow. So there are all kinds of really incredible opportunities on this campus for all of us to connect with students to help them grow and develop.
Thank you, Annette. So, Luciana, can you share some about what leadership development has looked like for you at Fort Hays?
Yeah, so I think this time that I was here for like these past 2 years, it was definitely the time that I grew the most in my leadership skills, if you want to put it like that. I was actually like super super shy before coming here to college, and then I just started doing things that I like the most, and just pushing myself to get out of my comfort zone and giving that step to actually engage with people and just be like active in so many different things on campus. Like really, I'm involved in like so many different things. It's too much sometimes, but it's okay. And I think, like Ryan said, like all of these opportunities, they really like, there's a position for you to grow on your leadership skills, and I think that's something that I really grew on. I want to mention one of them is in the global ambassador position that is basically like a division of global affairs. I think Jaden Snyder here should be the one that talks more about this, but that could be for next time. But really, it's like it's a group of students, international students and national students, that we work to share about the American culture to other countries, but also doing the opposite and bringing other cultures here to the United States. So for example, one of the things that we do is that we have this platform where prospective international students that want to come here, if they have questions or if they've already been admitted to Fort Hays, they can ask questions about the application process or just about like general cultural questions about that. And it's sometimes they have some really interesting questions, but it's really it's really good to have that direct contact with students. And then we also engage in a lot of things here on campus. We will have like activities that really everyone is invited, not only international or only national students. It's really for everyone, and I think that is where we can get that interaction and learning from each other's cultures and backgrounds. And yeah, I think I saw some of my leadership skills being developed there.
Thank you, Luciana. One other thing I wanted to share about leadership development at Fort Hays, and I think this was a unique story that happened with an international student. She was taking Leadership 300 class, and she told me, they asked, well, what is a leader? And her immediate response to that was corruption, because of the country where she was from. And so I think it is kind of funny, maybe like a joke, but also it's a call for us to redefine leadership and to help people. No one would want to envision themselves as a leader when they connected to corruption. And so we have a mission here to help students that are from the U.S. but anywhere else to redefine what is a leader and how can that be for positive and impactful global change. And so I just wanted to share that story quickly. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, Jenny, I want to turn it back over to you to share some just inspiration overall around how do we stay centered? We have so many things going on. There are a lot of opportunities at Fort Hays. So how do we stay centered and keep this vision and mission at the center of what we do?
I think we need to personalize it. Number one, like you said, is to really connect. Every single person who's connected with Fort Hays State University should understand that developing engaged global citizen leaders is our mission, and that everyone can connect with that in different ways. Not everybody has to participate in every aspect of what that means, but everybody can find ways to connect with all of the things that we have going on. But it also means that we have to have sustained action. We have to continually keep those opportunities in front of people, and we need to make sure that we are cultivating local, national, regional, and international partnerships. And that we're constantly partnering with other people to figure out ways that we can serve. And that's one of the things I know that we're always thinking about in terms of our international partnerships is how are we serving those students, and how are they in turn also serving their local communities. So we're trying to spread the idea of civic and community engagement even beyond the city of Hays. For those of us who are here on the main campus, we often think about the connection to the city of Hays and also to Western Kansas being the only Regents institution in that this entire part of the state. And all of that is extremely important, and really supporting rural communities and rural students and the economic prosperity of our region is certainly incredibly important. But we also have a lot of students who are international and virtual students that don't live right here in this community, and they can also take Fort Hays's spirit of community engagement and community development and think global, act local, wherever they are. And so we want to, it can include everybody. Haley mentioned earlier that, oh, it sounds lofty to try to think about all of these things all at the same time, and I say, yes, you're right, it's lofty and it might be hard, but guess what, we're doing it. Listen to these incredible people and all of the things that all of the incredible people are doing all across campus. So I say we should have lofty goals. I think that we should continue to keep it in the forefront of everything that we do, and that we should all be more community-minded and global-minded and take part in a variety of different ways to advance our mission, and that we should continue to say yay for lofty and big picture and long-term goals.
Thank you, Jenny. So as we kind of wrap up here with our final thing, I'm just going to ask the panelists to think of maybe one experience, one initiative, one thing that they're excited about with the future of Fort Hays. And let's start with you, Todd. Sorry, did you get it? So what are you excited about, Todd, looking into the future?
Well, I'm obviously very excited about the 5 Rooms project, which I think will integrate and bring together people from across campus, hopefully broader than campus as well with the community. I'm pretty new to Fort Hays, so I just want to share sort of one nugget of wisdom as well. Higher education, to me, is about the people, and the people should be open-minded. They should be open to being challenged. They should be open to change and learning, and they should always try to contribute. And since I've been at Fort Hays for a few years, I see this openness, and I see the contribution around campus, so I'm pretty confident in the future here at Fort Hays.
Thank you, Todd. And then let's bounce over to Ryan to kind of end with a student perspective on what are you excited about with the future of Fort Hays?
Yeah, I think I'm always really excited to see new students come in and take advantage of opportunities. It's really like bittersweet thinking back to when I was a freshman and I didn't know what was ahead. Like I didn't know the opportunities that were available to me. So I'm really excited to see this continue and this grow. Just students to continue to do things like attend Higher Education Day, where we get to advocate to legislators. Students going to the big event, which is our big volunteer day across the community and surrounding communities. I'm just really excited to see those things continue and expand.
Thank you, Ryan. So we're ending our time here together today, but do any of the panelists have any final comments or thoughts that they would like to share just as we wrap up?
I would actually, because Dr. Rick Edgman was supposed to be one of our panelists today, and unfortunately he is very ill. And so I just wanted to talk about, he is very passionate about the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals as it pertains to curriculum, and he's been focusing on making sure that all of the curriculum and all of his management courses and for the Center for Entrepreneurship are explicitly tied to any one of the 17 goals. And I know he's been a mentor to Luciana, and as the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship, he's hosted many students that have done the pitch competitions like Luciana was talking about. And it is not a requirement of those pitch competitions that they necessarily be tied to those goals, but Rick makes it a requirement for all of the students. And so I just wanted to say that we missed his voice on this panel, and we're sorry that he couldn't be here. But for those of you who are interested in, particularly for those of you who are faculty members who are here, maybe even who teach in our international partnership programs, I would encourage you to reach out to Rick and ask him for some resources on how you can embed some of the UN SDGs into your curriculum. He will give you more information than you can possibly ever actually use, and lots of really good wisdom and idea. And so I just wanted to say that I'm sorry he's sick and not with us, and wanted to kind of represent him just a little bit on this panel today, because we appreciate his partnership so much.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jenny. And Rick was very open when we were preparing for this, that if you would like to contact him, his contact information is on this final slide. So that concludes our time together today. Thank you so much for those who joined us in person. Oh, I'm sorry. Joined us in person and also on the live stream. And thank you to University Communications for partnering with Global Affairs to host this discussion today. So have a great day and continue to develop engaged global citizens.